Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the session Azure PowerShell Getting Started. My name is Kiran and I'm working as a Cloud Ops Engineering Specialist, and kpatnaikini.com is my blog, and here's my Twitter handle. Um, with that quick introduction about me, let me jump into today's session about Azure PowerShell. In this session, I'll brief about Azure Cloud Shell, and then I will show you what is Azure PowerShell module, and also I'll talk about Cloud Shell. I'll talk about the Azure subscriptions, how to connect to the subscriptions, and then exploring the various commandlets and also listing and querying the Azure resources using the PowerShell commandlets, also creating and configuring the Azure resources. And finally, I'll conclude this session with, by creating the, brand new virtual machine. All right. And I'm aiming for the target audience, like who are already in the Azure and they wanted to get started with the PowerShell. They wanted to get started with the Azure PowerShell. All right, so for this session, suggesting the environment, but it's not all are mandatory, but to get a rich experience, while you're working with, you can install, Windows Terminal and, some Visual Studio extension. I've given the complete, script how to, the ways that you can install, but you can also install manually as well. All right. So with that, let me jump into the actual content. We have many tools around the globe to deploy and manage the Azure resources. Like we have Azure, we have ARM templates, and we have Terraform, and even we have many other tools, and the scripting and programming tools are available. But the ease that comes with Azure PowerShell is extremely powerful. And especially it's for task automation and custom deployments or any configuration. It is super convenient with a PowerShell. All right. So the first thing when we talk about the Azure PowerShell, the first thing that comes into the mind, at least to me, is Azure Cloud Shell. Right. This Azure Cloud Shell is a browser-based console which is interactive and already authenticated, and it is a cloud hosted, and it has a to manage the Azure resources, and it has a both Bash and PowerShell support. All right, and there are a couple of ways that you can access the Azure Cloud Shell. Okay, and I'll show you the environment in a moment. Let's discuss about the key features, right? The Azure Cloud Shell comes with a complete tool set. It's like all the popular tools are pre-installed and pre-configured to use with pretty much any role you are. You be in that. You can use the Cloud Shell. You be from an operations, or you be from development, or basically from the DevOps, or if you want to deploy something or you want to automate something, right? So everything for everybody, there is a tool for that. If you see inside the Azure Cloud Shell, you have all the Linux tool, because basically it's a Linux container, right? So all the Linux flavored tools will always be there in that container, and also all the Azure tools we have, and text editors we have, right? And even source control, also Terraform, Ansible, Puppet, Chef, and Docker, almost all the tools are available. And also there's a language support, besides PowerShell, .NET Core, Go, Java, and Python, Node.js, all the language support is also there. You don't need to configure anything. So what I mean to say is it is fully configured and authenticated. That means you don't need to install anything. Suppose if I want to use the PowerShell inside the Cloud Shell, I don't need to install PowerShell, and I don't need to install Azure module. It is already installed and it is already configured and also auto authenticated. Like if you are authenticated to your browser, that credentials are more than enough to launch your Cloud Shell. right? It maintains the, system manages the identity inside the container, right? And yeah, and this is the portal. From the portal, you can launch your Cloud Shell here. Very beginning, if you are, for the first time, if you are if you are launching the Cloud Shell, you need to create a storage account. It is very straightforward, approach. While since I've already logged in, and it is directly taking me to the the prompt in the console. Otherwise, it will just ask you to create a new storage account. The storage account is needed for the persistent data to be in the console. In the Cloud Shell. Right. This is the prompt where you can have your Cloud Shell. It is completely authentic shell experience. You don't feel that you are doing it in the in the browser. It is as good as a console. Right, and all the PowerShell commandlets will work here. Right, all the PowerShell commandlets will work here, and it is pre-installed with the PowerShell. What I mean to say is PowerShell core, because it is running on a Linux container. Right, and it requires Azure File Share to have the persistent storage. And there is another feature is like Azure PS Drive. The Azure PS Drive is, you can navigate through Azure subscriptions and Azure resources as if you are navigating through a file system. And all the file system PowerShell commandlets will work against the PS Drive. Right, and also other advantage of having, in the Cloud Shell is code editor. Of course, there is, there are a couple of code editors like VI and Nano, but from in that editors we can't see the code syntax highlighting. Right, with that, it's we can only go through the script, but with the other code editor called Monaco, and the Monaco is also it is also open source project, and also PS Drive is an open source project. Of course, recently the entire Cloud Shell itself is the Microsoft announced as an open source project. And with this Monaco editor, we can see the code with the syntax highlighting. So, and the other advantage of having the the Cloud Shell, you don't need to maintain or you don't need to update any tools inside the, until unless you required any specific version or anything. If you want to the configure, yes, you can do that. But other than that, all popular tools, it will the Microsoft will be updated, and it will maintain the Microsoft will maintain the Azure Cloud Shell. Right, but there will be a little lag, if any latest version is released, it will take 2 to 3 weeks time to get it updated in the Cloud Shell. Right. So the other way of accessing the Cloud Shell using the shell.azure.com, it is a dedicated, it is a dedicated website where you can launch. And it is also something similar, but you don't see your web, your portal access from this dedicated shell portal. Right, and also you can access the Cloud Shell right from your local computer. You can connect to Cloud Shell using the Windows terminal, and this is also from the Microsoft. It has a rich view and tabbed experience. You can switch to the different consoles and different terminals here. And if you see here that there's an inbuilt Azure Cloud Shell tab is inside the tabs list, where you can, since I've already logged in, it is just asking you to enter select the credentials. Right, so once you logged in, you can go inside the Cloud Shell and you can connect to, you can connect to your Cloud Shell. And there's another way of accessing the Cloud Shell using the VS Code with the Azure account extension. Of course, I've already installed the extension. Azure account extension. Otherwise, if you want to start, you can, yes, you need to install this extension. Once you are installed, then you can go to the command palette. All right, you can go to the command palette. Since I've been using it, so it is there, right in front of my first list. Otherwise, just you type the Cloud Shell, then you will select this Open PowerShell in Cloud Shell. Right. So once you are authenticated, since I've already authenticated, it is not asking me to log in. Otherwise, just it will ask you to authenticate. See, this is my Cloud Shell. Right, like this also you can access, and there are other ways also you can do it using the documentation page of Azure PowerShell or Azure CLI, where you can go through the documentation, and I mean, when you see the try it out, there will, I mean, it will split into two panes where you can read your documentation on your left hand side, and the Cloud Shell will be launched on your right hand side. So while going through the documentation, if you want to try any of the commandlets, simply you can copy and paste it on the Cloud Shell in front, I mean on right side of your page. So like that you can go through. It's a good learning experience. And also the mobile app looks like this. Right, so the mobile app is like, suppose if you are commuting or if you are away from your computer and you want to quickly run something, yes, you can use the mobile app. Okay, and in the Cloud Shell, I want to show you two things. One is Azure Cloud Drive and other is Code Editor. So I'll quickly show them, and then I will jump into the Azure PowerShell module inside our local box. So to go inside the cloud, I mean PS Drive, the drive name is Azure. So you can use all the PowerShell commandlets, set location, or you can use CD, right, and Azure. So now I'm inside my Azure Cloud Drive, and you can use all PowerShell commandlets, I mean all file system commandlets. And to see my subscriptions, I can use get child item, and also I can pipe that to any of the other commandlets. Suppose I want to see only the subscription names, right? I can use that to select object, and I can see all the subscriptions inside my Cloud Shell. Right, and if I want to see what is there inside my test subscription, you can simply change your directory to that subscription name. Right, suppose I want to go inside the current test subscription, I can just simply, and it works with the tab completion as well, right? CD and give the name of the subscription. Right, you are now inside the test subscription, and you can use your DOS commandlets as well. But the other thing that you should understand is that since it is a Linux container, you cannot use the Linux aliases or Linux commandlets against the PS drive. If you run that, so it will only display the local files. Okay, so you should be, I mean, you should use the PowerShell commandlets itself. All right, this is now I have the resources, all resources, resource groups, and virtual machine. Suppose if I want to see what are the resource groups inside it, then you can go to the resource groups and see what are the resource groups inside the current subscription. These are all the resource groups I have. And to go back again, I can use the CD-dash. And if I want to see what are the virtual machines I have, I can go to the virtual machines, and I can use my, I mean, I can list the virtual machines. So like that, we can navigate through. And I'll switch back to my home directory, and I will see. I mean, what is the code editor inside I was talking about? The code editor is Monaco. It is an open source from Microsoft itself again. And I've given the links for all of those things what I'm talking about right here, end of the slides. Okay, so okay, the other one I was talking about, the code editor Monaco. So code, if you just type code and give the dot represents the local current, I mean the present directory. Right, so here you can see all the files or what are there inside my current directory, and here is the script pane where you can enter. I mean, you can type your code here. Suppose if you want to see the code and anything, you can simply click on your code and you can see what is there inside the code. And if you want to quickly edit anything, you can do that. So suppose if I want to edit this one, I want to see only the VMs. Then I can simply save that and I can exit it, right? I can exit it and then I can run that script. I get a VM status, so I can see my VMs running inside the cloud. I mean, inside my Azure. Right, this is I think all about I wanted to show you today because of the time constraint. I couldn't cover everything inside the Cloud Shell, but I hope it will be helpful. Since this environment is pre-installed and pre-configured, we don't need to do much. But just in case if you want to do in your local machine, you have to install everything on your own. All right, so we'll go back to the slides. So before the installation, I'll just give you a brief introduction about the Azure PowerShell module. All right, this Azure PowerShell module is a PowerShell module where you can manage your resources. I mean Azure resources using the PowerShell. Right, and as of now we have two modules, but I don't really consider the Azure RM, the support is going to end by end of this year in December. But still, there are a couple of projects and couple of companies they have a huge automation already happened in Azure RM. And for those, I think there's still it is there, and there is no new features and no updates, anything for the Azure RM. Everything, the latest and greatest features will be on the AZ module itself. And of course, the latest AZ module will have a backward, the old module support by enabling the aliases. So without you really need to change your scripts, you can directly run with the latest module itself. Okay, at this moment, the current latest version is 4.5.0 of Azure PowerShell module. All right, so with that intro about Azure PowerShell, I'll just take you to the Azure PowerShell module installation. We have a couple of, we have two types of installations. Like one is from the online installation where you can directly install the Azure PowerShell module from the PowerShell gallery using the PowerShell get commandlets. Right, and also the other way of doing it. Suppose if you don't have, in your machine, if they don't have the internet connection, or if they are behind the firewalls, then you need to download it manually from the GitHub latest release pages, and where you can go to the, you can download the MSI packages and you can copy to the server where you want to run. Where you want to use the Azure PowerShell, there you can install the MSI package. And also you can use the save module wherever you have the internet access. Then there you can save the module and you can copy it to the server where you want to use and place it in an appropriate module location. All right, so okay, the other one I need to explain is that I'm using the Jupyter notebooks, where I can have both my notes and also I can have my scripts in the single page, and I can go through the notes, and also I can execute the commandlets here itself. It is as good as that I am executing in my local console itself. This is the feature actually I recently came to know from the Bangalore IT Pro sessions itself from Deepak when he was demonstrating about the C# and back classes. Initially he used, and I came to know from him, and it is really good. I really liked it. So that is the reason today I want to use that in the current session. And thanks Deepak for the same. And for the online installation, I want to see like what is the current module is available. For the Azure PowerShell. So for that, I have to use the find module and the name of the module, and you can run it. So it connects to the PowerShell gallery and pull the latest version of the module. I think it is still running. When you see a solid circle here that it is running still, but it should not take this much time. Find module AZ. Okay, not sure though. What is not working here? However, this is the way that you can use the find module, where right now the module is 4.5.0, and to install you can use the install module, right? Install module -name, and AZ is the module name. Right, I've already installed, so I will not run this command. But if you are not installed, yes, it will take bit time to install all the associated modules with the AZ module. Okay, so I think it took some time, but however, we have the latest module here. And to install, yes, install module name and AZ. And to update, yes, we have update module and AZ. Also, you can use with the force flag with the install module itself. And the other thing that I want to tell you is that the way that you installed in the beginning, the same method you should use to update. Like if you have installed your module using the online installation, you need to update using the online method itself, and it is vice versa. All right. And now we'll see after the installation, we will see what are the modules that we have and what are the commandlets we have inside the module, and all of those things we will see. It's basically listing all the exploring the commandlets and how to use and what is there inside the output, everything that we will see in this. So to see all the available Azure modules, right, we can use with the get module and give the module name. Here I should mention one thing is that AZ is kind of a helper module, right? So when you install AZ, it is not an actual module, it is a helper module. When you try to install or load it, it will load all the actual modules. Right, and all actual modules will be will be prefixed with AZ dot. Right, I'll show you in a moment. Yeah, so if you see that the modules AZ dot accounts and AZ dot advisor, all of AZ dot compute, right? These are all the actual modules, and the AZ is a helper module. Okay, these are all the modules that we have in the Azure module, right? I think I have two instances, so it is showing in two different places, right? And if I want to see what are the what are the commandlets available in a specific module, right? Suppose I want to see what are the commandlets are available inside the inside the AZ resources. then I can use the get command with the hyphen, with hyphen module parameter. Right, if I run this, it will show all the commandlets inside the AZ resource. AZ resources module. So there are a couple of commandlets, right? So with all these commandlets, there is a huge number of commandlets, around 3,966 or 33 commandlets are there. So those it is really tough for us to remember all of those things, and exactly when we wanted to use, we cannot, we don't want to use all of them. So filter those modules, filter those commandlets using the verb and noun. So the beauty of the PowerShell is that the commandlet itself is a self-explanatory, where it will be, it is a combination of a verb and noun. The verb represents the action, and the noun represents on which the action is going to perform. Right. So if I want to see all the get commandlets in a module, right, in the module AZ resources, I can use the verb flag, where I can use the get command, get value, so that I can get all the get commandlets inside the AZ resources. All right, if I run this, I have all the get commandlets inside the AZ resources. And also you can search through, the noun as well. The noun as in, like, if you want to see on which it is going to perform. Suppose I want to see the commandlets which are ending with VM, and the verb is set. I want to see all the set commandlets ending with VM. So for that, I can use with a get command hyphen verb set hyphen noun star VM. It also accepts the wildcard and the module name. So if I run that, I think there are only two commandlets, set AZVM and set AZVM SSVM. All right, so these two are set commandlets are ending with VM. Also, sometimes we are not really sure that what are the commandlets available on particular service. Suppose I want to see all the load balancer commandlets inside the AZ network. So for that, if I use the name parameter, and you don't need to use any verb or noun, you can directly use with the name parameter with any of the module name. Right, if you don't mention the module name here, it will go through all the modules inside the computer and pull it out. Even if it is non-Azure commandlets, will also be included in that list. So you need to, if you want to filter, you have to use proper module here. Right, so if I run this one, I'll get all the commandlets which the commandlet names having the load balancer in that. Right, these are all the commandlets. And also I should talk about, initially when you are getting started with the PowerShell, predominantly you should concentrate on, in my opinion, I'm talking about four commandlets. Like if you want to get something or you want to list something, there is a get verb. Okay, what I'm talking about is really when you are getting started, but there are plenty of the verbs available, and for all of them there is a purpose, and there is a ease to use all of these verbs. But predominantly initially when you're getting started, you can concentrate on get to list something from the Azure, and to configure something you need to have set commandlets. To remove something you need to use remove commandlets, and if you want to if you want to create something, you have to use new commandlets. And especially when you are writing the Azure certifications, the questions will be a bit confusing. They'll say that if I want to create a storage account, what commandlets I can use. They'll give four options, like one is that create Azure storage account, or create AZ storage account, or a new AZ storage account, something like that they will give. So one thing that you should understand, in Azure, everything, I think not only in Azure, pretty much in PowerShell, if you want to create anything, you have to use new commandlets. right? So like that, the questions will be there. So initially, you please concentrate on those 4 commandlets so that you can explore more, right? So after that, you want to configure, like there is some other verbs like use, update, test, and few of them are like actually aliases. They don't have that kind of verbs. I think if you see list, it could be the alias of it could be alias of get. Okay, so yeah, with that we identified the module and we have seen the commandlets, and we identified a commandlet, what to use and all, and now we want to see the help. Here actually I don't know, in the Jupyter notebooks I'm getting some error when I run help command. I'll just show you that in my actual PowerShell console. Right, so if you use get help of the commandlet, like whatever you used, the same commandlet you can use with the get help and name, so that you will see the basic help. With that, at least you can see what is the syntax, and you can run and actually what it does, everything you can see in the basic help. But you can use that with your detailed or help, and if you want to see the examples how to use that, you can use with the hyphen examples parameter. And also if you want to see the latest help online, you can use the online flag with the get help. Right, so once you identified the commandlet and you have seen that how to use that and all, and you want to see what properties it has and what actually in PowerShell everything is an object. When you say object, it must have some members like methods or properties or sometimes events. Right, so to see what are all there, you can, after you get that result, you can pipe that to get member, so that you can see what is there inside that object. Here I'm getting one resource group object, and I want to see what are the members are there inside that object. So when I run it, it will show me the properties. Of course, there's not these methods are basic methods in PowerShell, and these are all the properties of the resource group properties. You can have location, right? You will have the resource ID and tags and all of those things that you can see inside the in the object. Those objects, and you can use with the dot notation, you can reference them in your script going forward. Right, so for all of these things, like filtering the commandlets and getting the help and seeing the members of the object and all, I've written a blog post. You can refer it, all of those things, right? And now we have seen the commandlets, we have identified the commandlets, and we want to use how to use and all. Now we'll see how to connect to the Azure subscription. So first of all, you need to install your module. Import your module. I've already imported, so I'm not going to run this one. And you need to connect to Azure subscription using the Connect AZ account. So this Connect AZ account is like earlier, I think even now, if you are using the Windows PowerShell 5.1, you will, it will ask you if it is your local machine, or if it is your personal credentials. It will ask you for the enter the credentials. But with the latest AZ module in the core editions, you need to authenticate your device. The device, as in, suppose if I'm using the web browser itself is a device. Suppose if I'm using the console itself is a device. So if I run Connect AZ account, right, it will ask us to log into the device login page, and then you need to enter the device code to authenticate this device. So if I click here, it will take me to the device login page where I have to enter the device code where it has generated, and then authenticate. Since I've already logged in, I don't need to pass the credentials. Otherwise, you need to pass your Azure subscription credentials. Yeah, right. So I'm logged in into my subscriptions. Here, one thing that you need to understand is that once you logged in, that credentials will be persistent. Okay, the context will be persistent until unless it is your personal machine or your dedicated machine, and if it is not a shared machine, then you can do that. But if you want to authenticate only for that particular session, then you can use with the scope process so that the credentials will not be saved. Okay, once that credentials are saved, until unless you say log out, I mean, till you log it out, the credentials will be there inside the local machine. Okay, I mean, like wherever you use in that, the credentials will be saved. All right. If you don't want, you can use that scope, or there is a commandlet called disable autosave context. There is a commandlet, so it will not save the login credentials after you exit the session. All right. And this is how you can interactively log in. And there is an other process. I'm not going to discuss that because in the interest of time. But there's a documentation where you can go to create the service principal. The service principals are actually are used to are used with the applications or hosted service where you want to automate something there, because every time you can't go and authenticate. I mean, you can pass your credentials. So for that reason, you should. And also, even if you pass your credentials, what are the permissions you have? The application will also have those permissions. There could be some issue happen in future. So it's better you can grant what are the permissions are required for that particular application and create a service principal, and you can pass that service. I mean, you can pass that service principal to that application, where every time the application pulls the credentials from safe, I mean, some password safe or Azure key vault, and you can I mean, they can authenticate the application. All right, I've shared the link here. You can how you can create the service principal and how you can authenticate using the service principal, right? So as I said, like once you logged in, all the subscriptions what you are associated will be saved in the current machine. So to see what are the subscriptions you have in the current context, the context is it's nothing but it's a partial object where it will have your credentials and the subscription details for further use. And if you see what are the subscriptions are available in the current context, you have to use get AZ context. Right. So right now I'm in the, I mean, to see the current subscription is AZ get context. To see all the subscriptions inside the current context is hyphen list available. Right. So I have these many subscriptions. And also there's another way that using the get AZ subscription. All right, so I have these subscriptions. And right now I'm in the prod subscription, and if I want to change that to test subscription, I have to use set AZ context. For that, it requires the subscription as an object. So I'm getting the AZ subscription of my test subscription, and I'm passing that object to set context, so that it will change from my prod subscription to test subscription. All right, so yep. Now I'm in the test subscription. So this is how you can, if you are having the multiple subscriptions for different projects, then if you want to switch between the subscriptions, yes, you can use with the set AZ context. To see the context, you can use with the get AZ context. All right, so like that you can use and switch between the contexts and subscriptions. Okay, with all we logged in, and we have seen the commandlets and all. Now we will list and or query the I mean from the Azure resources. So to see all the resources inside my current context, is irrespective of its type, all the resources I can use. I mean, I can get them using the get AZ resource. Right, so it will list all of my subscriptions, all of my resources, right? All of my resources in the current subscription. And also I can filter them using the resource type, or I can even filter with the resource name or resource ID, right? Suppose if I want to see all the storage accounts in my current subscription, then I can run with the get AZ resource and give the resource type. Okay. So I have three storage accounts, right? So it has pulled the storage accounts using the using the resource type. Right. Also, you can have you can pull what are the resource groups you have. Like, I mean, the resource is irrespective of type or anything. It contains all the list of resources. But the other commandlets very specific to that particular type, you can get using the specific get commandlets of that type. Suppose if I want to retrieve all the storage accounts, there is a commandlet called get AZ storage account, right? Or if you want to see virtual, if I want to see all the virtual network inside my subscription, I want to see all the virtual networks, I can use get AZ virtual network, something like that, right? So yeah, to see the resource groups, I can use the get AZ resource group. And also you can filter using if you don't use any parameters for some of the commandlets, it will list, especially get commandlets, it will list all the all the resources of all the resources of that type. But if you want to filter it, yes, you need to use some parameters. Like I want to filter the resource groups using, by the location. I want to see all the West US region resource groups. Then I want to use with the location parameter. Then it will show all the I think I have two resource groups in West US region. Right. Likewise, I can use the get AZ VM, and I want to see the all the virtual machines inside my subscription. And even I want to filter that out using the resource groups, and even I can pass the location as well to see what are all there inside that resource group. Right. I have two virtual machines. So like that, you can fetch the data from the Azure subscription. And also see, sometimes it's not like all we need. Suppose it's not related to services, and you want to see some information like what are the locations we have. Only if you are hardly working with one or two locations, then that is fine. But if you are working with the multiple regions, then you should have different locations. If you want to see the locations in the if you want to see the Azure locations, you can use with the get AZ location, so that it will list all the locations where Azure supporting. Especially for when you are creating the virtual machine, you need you need the location, on which location you want to deploy, and also the VM size. If you want to use this in a specific size of the VM, you should know it, right? So you can fetch the VM size, and we'll see a couple of because all this example I'm aiming to have our VM to be created at the end. So that is the reason my all examples are towards creating the virtual machine itself. So to see all the locations, I can use get AZ location. Right, so it has, I'm just actually pipe that to only I want to see the location. I don't want to see the display name or any other providers in that location. So I'm just only using the location. So these are all the locations where Azure services are available, and wherever your requirement is there, you can use that location. right? And also I want to see the VM sizes, what sizes are available. And this VM size is also based on the location. Not all the locations will have your VMs, hosted. Some locations will not provide some specific size VMs. So you need to be very careful. And this is a mandatory parameter to see the VM sizes with AZ-GET VM. So I want to see all the VM sizes available in the South India region. Right, so for that, if I use with get AZ VM size, location, and the location name. So these are all the VMs sizes I have, right, to use with my VM. Okay, and with that, suppose if I want to create a VM for creating a VM, we need that image. If you want to create a Windows VM, we need to have a Windows OS image. If you want to create a Linux VM, and we need to have the Linux OS VM. But we know pretty much Linux and Windows, or these two are pretty well known, but there are many other providers are there for different purposes. So for that, first of all, if you want to deploy a Windows VM, or if you want to deploy a Linux VM, you need to identify the SKU of that image, right? Which image you want to deploy with your VM, right? Since it is a cloud hosted environment, there will not be any traditional way of doing it. Only you can use your pre-installed images to attach to your VM, and you can spin it up in the matter of minutes or seconds. Okay, so to see what publishers are providing these images, right? So to see that, we have a commandlet called get AZ VM image publisher. And again, all publishers will not support on all the regions. Some publishers will not provide their services in some regions. So again, this is also based on the location itself. So I'm again filtering the publishers using the location. I want to see all the publishers in the West use region. So actually the list is quite very lengthy. However, I picked two of like Windows, the Microsoft Windows Server for Windows images, and Canonical for Ubuntu images. Right, I want to use the Microsoft Windows Server. Okay, and to see what are the offerings from that publisher. Right, these are all the publishers. There are many publishers are there. Right, and out of which I pick the Microsoft Windows Server publisher, and I want to see their offerings. What are the offerings that they are doing? Right, so for that I should use I should use get AZ VM image offer. Okay, and the location again, I want to see this time. I want to see the South Indian. What are the offerings are there from that publisher in South India? Right, if I run that, they list all the offerings in South India region from Microsoft Windows Server. There are many are there. So I want to select Windows Server because I want to deploy a Windows Server. So for that, I want to get the SKU. The SKU as in Windows Server is like, like Windows Server 2012, 2012 R2, or 2016 or 2019. Those are the specific SKUs that you need to use to deploy a VM. All right, so I've identified the publisher, and I've identified the offer. And now if I want to see the image SKU. So when I run with get AZ VM image SKU with the publisher and that offer in South India. All right, so there are a couple of SKUs are there. Like I want to use 2019 data center Windows Server, or 2016 data center Windows Server. Like that, you can pick that one and you can use with your VM creation. Right, so with that, we identified when we gathered required information to create a VM. And now so far we ran the direct commandlets, only one commandlet where we get the required information, but some of the things will not come directly. You have to pipe that to some other commandlet to get your required information. Suppose you want to see all the security rules inside a the security group, then there is no direct commandlet like that. So you can pipe that to some other, the other commandlet. First of all, you need to get the security group of on which you want to see the security rules, and then pipe that to get security, get AZ network security rule config. So if I run that, I can see all my security rules inside my SRV NSG, from SRV NSG security group. Okay, so this is the security group. It is right now is added in the in the SRV, in the SRV NSG. And again, I want to see the subnets of a virtual network. It is the same, like pretty much. You need to use the other. First of all, you need to fetch the virtual network and then pipe that to virtual network subnet config. Then it will list all the subnets inside that virtual network. Right now, we can see what are there, and we identified the required information, and we can see what is there inside some objects and all, and these are all pretty straightforward. And now we will try to create some resources, okay, especially to be useful for our the VM creation demo. So for that, this one I'm just hiding. Actually, Microsoft commandlets, the Azure commandlets are giving some warnings while you are executing. If at all, if there is any new flag is introducing in the next version, or if anything is deprecated, those kind of information it will show as a warning. So for this demo, I'm just trying to suppress them. And also I'm using two variables because I want to use them frequently in my scripts. Right, the one is the resource group name and other is the location. So I'll just run them. Yeah, it's done. And I want to create a resource group. As I mentioned earlier, to create anything, we should use new commandlets. New commandlet and the name and the location to create a resource group. And that resource group, whatever I created, I want to store that in the demo RG variable for future use. All right, so I'll execute this. Right, it is done. Now I have my resource group is created. To see what is there inside that resource group, all right, we can use that variable, and if I run that, I'll see this is the resource group that is created in West US region demo RG. All right. And again, if I want to create a storage account, I want to create the storage account to be used with our boot diagnostic. For that, I've selected one SCA, storage account name, and I'm creating the storage account name with the new SCA storage account. And for the storage, since we have created the storage account, we have created the resource group, we can use that resource group to create with the storage account itself. That storage account we can create with the new AZ storage account and the resource group name and on which location you want to create and what is the storage account name and the SKU. And other parameters by default, the commandlet will pick it up for you if you don't mention. If you want to mention, yes, you can mention. But for this demo, I'm not going to mention other parameters. These are all the mandatory parameters that I'm using to create the storage account. And I'm storing that storage account inside my demo SCA variable. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's running. And after the storage account is created, and I want to create a NSG for our requirement. Okay, the NSG is like to allow the RDP port and also HTTP port I mean, I want to allow those two ports, and I'm right after the execution of the storage account, we can create, yeah, it is completed, right? And that storage account is created and stored in the demo SA variable. Because we have not seen any error, that means it is completed successfully. And I want to create new demo NSG, the network security group with two different rules. See here, I mean, it's not like all the commandlets are very straightforward. As I mentioned, some could be like a multi-dimensional or three-dimensional and multi-dimensional kind of approach, because you can't pass all the security rules and the security group information in a single line, because there could be many, and we are not sure how many in terms of the rules. So there is no specific number. That is the reason, first of all, we have to create the story. We have to create the rules first, and then associate those rules with the NSG. Even you can do that after you create the resource as well. But it's ideally good where, before you create the resource, I mean, before you create the network security group, if you have your rules, you can directly associate them and create them. Right. So I want to I want to run this one. And also the network security, I mean, I want to deploy the virtual network. The virtual network, what are the subnet that I am using? That subnet should be associated with this NSG. So after it is created, and after it is created, I want to, I mean, I will associate this NSG to this subnet here. See, the demo NSG, what I'm using here, I want, after it is created, I'm taking that ID and associate that ID to the subnet. This is also something similar approach. First of all, you need to create the subnet, and then you need to associate that subnet to the virtual network. Right here, I want to create demo VNet, and this is the address prefix of that VNet, and this is address prefix for that subnet, and this is the subnet name. And I want to first create the subnet, subnet by using the AZ, new AZ virtual network subnet config. With that, I can give the subnet name and address prefix, and I can associate the NSG, right? You can also associate the NSG with your NIC, but for this demo, I'm only associating with that subnet only. Right. So with that, I'll run this one, and also to create the virtual network AZ, new AZ virtual network. You have to provide the resource group and location and name of the virtual network and address prefix, and what are the subnets that we created, that subnet we can use. Right. So yeah, it's executing. Yeah, so virtual network, and after the virtual network, I want to create, it is created, and after the virtual network, I want to create one public IP to connect outside the network. So ideally, it is not suggestible in the production environments, but there are some cases where you can connect with your public IP address. So PIP name that I want to use, the public IP name, demo PIP, and I want to create a new public IP using the new AZ public IP address. Okay, and again, I have to, for all the resources what you are creating, you have to mention your resource group, and you have to mention your the location along with the other parameters of that specific service. So I want to give the name and the allocation method, and for this, dynamic is fine with me. And now I am running this. So after the public IP is created, I want to create the virtual network. So the virtual network is something like you are, all of these things are created and will be there aside. But this, the network interface card will be attached to your VM, and this network interface will be associated with your security group and virtual network. Okay, so again, for this one as well, yeah, my public IP is created, and to create the network interface, I'm attaching the public IP and attaching the subnet, on which subnet I want to connect to this VM. Okay, and I'm giving the nickname and the location resource group name, and the nickname is demo nick. Okay, so if I run this, it will execute. Okay, it's done. And the configuring Azure resources, maybe it's like already 1 hour in the interest of time, and there's a Q&A section also there, right? So I'll just explain this, how to configure. I'm not going to run them. Right, so suppose if you want, after you have created your resources and all, and you want to do some configuration, or you want to do some changes. Suppose I mean, you actually allowed 80 port, which is not encrypted, and you said like, no, I don't want to use this one. I mean, you want to remove that rule. So like that, you can use that remove NSG rule, and you can, after you removing, then you need to set it in the Azure. So the remove the NSG that we have, right, demo NSG that we created, that one we are passing it to the remove NSG security rule. See, the other thing that you need to understand is that once you identified any commandlet, suppose for adding a network security rule config, you identified a commandlet. So that commandlet definitely will have to create new one, or to get that one, I mean the configuration, or to remove, all of those things will be there. You can search by using this noun to get what are the available commandlets of that particular service. Right, so and since we added, I want to remove that 80 port, and after I removed in my local variable, I want to push those changes to the Azure by using the set commandlets. As I told you, set commandlets are to configure Azure resources. Right, so it is to set the port, and this section is to to add the new security rule after it is created. Again, it is almost same. Earlier we used new, and this time we added add, and then we are using with the add. I mean, this time we are using the set to configure the NSG. Right, and the same way, if I want to create new subnet, I can give the new subnet details, and then I can pass that to set AZ network to create the NSG, I mean to create the subnet inside the already created virtual network. Okay, with all done, now we will see how to create a virtual machine. So what are the virtual machine? What are the information that we have seen so far? I've taken everything into the variables. Right, of course, these resource group name and resource group, I mean the location and the VM name with the computer name and the VM size identified, and the SKU I also identified. Right, and for the VM, I need to provide the credentials. So I will pass this credentials now. All right, so yeah, I've provided the credentials, and all my local variables are executed. And the other thing that you need to understand, it is not a of course you can create you can pass all the parameters in the with the new AZVM. The new AZVM is to create a VM. With that, you can give all the parameters of your required thing, but it's a whole messy and very big length of line will come, and later if you want to modify something, it's really tough for you. So that what we can do is, first of all, we can create a VM configuration, and whatever we have, for that we will create a VM configuration, and then we will use that configuration with the new AZVM to deploy the actual VM. Right, first of all, I will create one configuration with the new AZ VM config, where I can give the VM name and the VM size to create with, okay, the VM configuration. right? When I run this one, the new, the new VM configuration is created and stored in the variable called $VM config. And then I will add the operating system configuration. Operating system configuration is in like which operating system I want to use and what is the computer name and which and I have to provide the credentials that I am adding it to VM configuration. I'm just using the VM config object and piping that to set AZ VM operating system. As I told you, right, like all set ones will configure the object or whatever the resource. So I'm adding or setting the I'm setting the operating system information to the VM config, and let me run this. Yeah, so if you see that my name and hardware profile as in the VM size that whatever I've provided, right, and the operating system I've added, so OS profile is given. Now this time I have to add which image it has to use. So for that I have to tell that you pick the image from the gallery, right? It is like from image. The other option is attach. If you have your own image, you can attach that. But this time I want to use from image. Okay, and which image I want to use is like I need to provide the publisher, whatever I've given here, the publisher name, offer, and SKU. Right, so those I'm adding the AZVM source image commandlet, and I'm giving the publisher name, offer, SKU, and the version of the SKU. Right, so if I run the entire thing, it will add the source of the image and the image details. Right, and then this time I will add the nick, whatever I created earlier, that nick I will add. The nick I have the demo nick, and I want to add that ID. So that nick is already associated with the subnet. Already, already we have added the public IP, and already it is behind the NSG. Okay, and I want to add that as a primary. So to add that nick, I have to use get AZ VM network interface and the demo nick.id. The nick.id. Right. So if I run this, yeah, that is added to the configuration. And also this is to add additional disk and data disks. Like this is the commandlets are very straightforward. AZ VM data disk. Okay, I want to add a data disk of size of 1023, right? And it's an empty one, and I'm adding it now added. And also I want to add the boot diagnostics, the one that we already created with the storage account. In that storage account, I want to enable the boot diagnostic. For that, set AZ VM boot diagnostic, same resource group name, and enable the diagnostic and the storage account name. So with that, the configuration is set, and now we have to pass this configuration to the new AZ VM, where it will read that configuration and create a VM for us. So now finally we are running this. Okay, it will take some time, and in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. I'll try to answer them. Azure Cloud Shell container is now via open source too. Yes, it is there. And for that, I've given the links. Right, I've given the complete links of all the Git repositories and the reference that I was talking about in the today's session. Yes, the container image is how safe it is when the credentials are stored locally. Locally, as in, see, it depends. Like it's not safe if you, for sure, if you are using locally, you have to use some password safe. Either I think we have one Windows credentials safe is there inside the Windows. Inside the PowerShell module is there. and also we can use Azure Key Vault. Okay, and is it possible to get the video recorded? Yeah, I think so. Where can we get the notebook resources? Yeah, I'll right after the session, I will share it with the community, and probably it will be pushed to their repository. Okay, so any other questions, please let me know. And the other one, I have recently started converting all the Azure PowerShell, Azure the ARM templates into PowerShell. This is my repository. We have recently started. I have a couple of friends in my team named Anisha and Viresh. So with the help, we are working. We are converting all the ARM templates into the PowerShell scripts. You can refer any of these scripts where if you want to see the Windows sample scripts, you can go to the script. Yeah, I've given a complete detailed script. It is simply based on the ARM templates. We are not adding or removing anything. Maybe we tweaked a bit according to the PowerShell, but almost all are similar from the ARM templates. We have quick start ARM templates, right? So the same we are converting. You can refer to this repository, and also also there's a the repositories for Terraform also. We are converting the same. Fine, up to you. Oh, I think it's still running. Any more questions, please, while it is still running? Yeah, the VM is created. When you see the status is okay, the VM is created, and let's see that VM. Demo RG. Yes, we have the demo VM is created successfully. And right, it is prompting for the credentials. So that means it is up in there. Okay, with that, questions? Okay, if not, then my big thanks to Bangalore IT Pro and Techholic, Techholic, and also my special thanks to Ajay and Prasoon for arranging this session for me. Thank you very much, and thank you all. Thanks for your time.